The song's called Mound of Clay by Charlie Feathers. It's a great freaking song. It's also a lost song. It was like found, like the album was. It never was like put out, I think.
That's cool.
All right, give it a little clappy clap. All right, guys, we're here with probably the most anticipated guest we've had this whole time.
Oh no.
Andrew, what's your middle name?
Lee.
Andrew Lee Sink.
My arch
Junior. Was your dad's name Andrew Lee Sink for real?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Same name.
Does he go by Andy?
He does go by Andy.
Oh, wow. Such
I
a
do not.
good nickname. It's such. I feel like that name kind of calls for it, you know?
Yeah, you have to be an Andy.
Do you think that you're an Andy?
No.
What
I'm an
What do you think
Andrew.
it takes to be an Andy?
That's a good question.
And then
not
the
there
other
yet.
the other end, the other shortening is Drew.
I think I like Drew better.
I think I could peg you as a Drew before I could peg you as an Andy.
Definitely.
I have a nephew now, and I'm Uncle Drew.
Wow. Do you know who else is Uncle Drew?
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving, and one of the best YouTube. The movie was terrible, but the YouTube videos were awesome.
Yep. Me and Kyrie.
Do you have a special affinity for it now?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I've actually never seen it.
Oh, wow. Never mind then. Okay.
So what do you got for me? And have you explained why we're enemies?
I haven't. I've made brief mention, I think, in another episode of you. So for the listeners, Andrew and I are nemesis. We found a hatred for one another in college. We were from rival fraternities, and
The deepest rivalry.
there might be other fraternities on campus, but I only acknowledge two of them, and I'm in one, and you're in the other.
Yep.
We found competition in the social circles.
Mm-hmm.
We've both insulted one another's families,
Yep.
and we sort of found ourselves even in post-grad being competitors at other insurance agencies, fighting for the
To be clear,
same things.
our
different
friendship
teams.
really started by randomly flicking each other off, saying mean stuff to each other. It was like this big bit.
My favorite.
I love
It was a
bits.
bit.
Yeah, great bit. I didn't know
I
you.
commit to the bit.
I didn't know you, and my favorite thing was I would walk up to like a group of people on campus somewhere, and you would you would step in front of me to exclude me from the social circle, and that was one of my favorite things that you did.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, that is hilarious.
Wow.
Actually, very self-aware, very aware of the social setting.
I think before we go on anymore, I think Andrew needs to tell us what we need to know about him.
That's I was giving a little bit of setup for.
Not necessarily what do we need to know about you. What do our listeners need to know about you? Why are you here? Who are you?
Let's see. I don't know. I'm gonna say some random stuff about me, and hopefully that paints a picture.
Okay.
I listen to Morgan Wallen. I feel like that's telling. It's
Okay.
number one artist on Spotify rap.
Wow.
It's
Who is
basic.
that?
It's just not even worth getting into.
Okay.
Is it
You would hate him.
Is
Is
it
all you need to know.
is it
I would hate him. That's all I need. Okay.
is it Morgan Wallen or Morgan Whalen?
Both. No, actually, I'm thinking of Waylon Jennings.
That's a missed
so
opportunity.
Morgan Wallen
He could have named himself Waylon something.
didn't. Like I said, I'm someone who commits to the bit.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love random jokes. You got to ask a better question than tell us about yourself.
Well, I did ask a better question. I said, "What do we need to know about you?" And you have said that you
I
you
love
commit to
trivia
the
questions.
bit. You love trivia questions.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the top, like the most popular Christmas song of all time, based upon what were the statistics?
This is a trivia question I asked Steven yesterday. What is the best-selling Christmas
Best-selling.
song of all time?
Wow.
Copies sold.
Copy sold. Do you have any guesses, Myres?
Myers?
This is gonna be crazy if he gets it. It's not what you think it'll be, but you're
it's not
not.
the Mariah Carey song.
No, it's not what you think it'll be, but you're not gonna be surprised when you figure out.
I'm not gonna think about it that
old.
long because I
two
don't
guesses.
think I would
Spit 'em
get
out.
there.
One guess, go.
I can't even think of any titles, to be honest. Is it one of the didn't Nat King Cole?
Okay,
Christmas
there it
in the
is.
name.
It is
Old
it is
guy.
Nat King Cole adjacent. It is by Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
Do you
Not
know
Bill
what song
Cosby.
it's gonna be?
I don't. I also don't listen to a ton of Christmas music, so it's
Scrooge
Too
alert!
mainstream.
You know, it's crazy. This might be a good time to introduce our producer, Annie. Annie Strawn.
Annie.
Straight from Raleigh, North Carolina. And when I say Raleigh, I mean Raleigh. She lives in downtown
Wow.
in Boylan Heights. Isn't that the name of the neighborhood? Boylan Heights, North Carolina. She also is a Scrooge. She doesn't like Christmas.
I love Christmas, but I don't really like Christmas music that much.
Well, to answer the question that I asked,
Oh, yeah,
the
that one.
best-selling Christmas song of all time is "White Christmas," Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby, White Christmas.
Bing Crosby is
I'm
fantastic.
dreaming of a White Christmas.
That makes sense.
I had a White Christmas once. It snowed here one time. You remember that? It was
Never.
like when we were
Yes.
young.
It was awesome.
Me and Andrew are both from Birmingham. We
Wow.
are from Birmingham,
Wow.
but we had very different experiences.
One on
Speaking
one
of-
side of the mountain, one on the other.
I would actually love to talk about. I want to break this down with you
Yeah, let's hear it.
because I do think that a fair amount of our listeners are going to be Birmingham people or Birmingham adjacent people. Andrew went to Mountain Brook High School.
Yep.
What is Mountain Brook known for?
Mountain Brook is, first of all, I loved Mountain Brook High School.
Go Spartans.
Go Spartans. Mountain Brook's known for being the villain, it feels like,
Wow.
over the mountain.
Wow.
It's a great school. It's a very affluent community. And so it's just everybody's rival.
That's a good way of putting it. It is the most affluent community in Birmingham.
It
That was
is.
what I was looking for you to.
In-
I didn't want
In
to.
fact, I believe.
People love pointing that out, especially Vestavia, which is the second most.
Well, correct me if I'm
community.
wrong. I think Mountain Brook is the most affluent neighborhood in Alabama.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I think Birmingham probably holds the top 10 spots. People
Yeah,
in
where else would it be
some
in the
Madison,
state of Alabama?
Huntsville people
There
are probably
there's
getting mad at us right now.
there's
But
some money in Mobile and there's some money in
Huntsville?
Huntsville, but Mountain Brook takes
Yeah.
the cake.
yeah, Vestavia legitimately might be 2. Homewood might be 3.
Vestavia
Yeah.
is legitimately the number 2.
Where do you think Gardendale is on that list?
What do you think? Gardendale is on that?
like 55th.
Yeah, no, it's
I mean,
down.
it's probably not like near last. But,
Actually,
like,
I saw a sign in Gardendale the other day. It said the population was 11,000, which I don't think is accurate. I think it's an old sign on an old building.
yeah, I think it's probably a lot
It's-
bigger than that
it's-
nowadays.
yeah.
But
But
whenever
it's still not-
whenever Alabama was making population signs.
Yeah, but
I
it's
saw
still not
something
huge.
that said Bessemer had the highest crime rate in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's also a smaller.
How
amount
many
of
people do you think live in Bessemer? Producer Annie.
It's 26,000.
Wait,
That's my guess.
that's your guess, or you know that?
I feel like I know that.
My guess
I
is
was
going to
gonna
be
say-
16.
I was gonna say 50. I was going way high.
50.
Yeah.
Wow. Population of Bessemer, Alabama. Annie, what do we got?
She's on the way.
I'm drinking a LaCroix right now, and I'm burping. I'm
Yeah.
having a. I might put it in the mic in a second. I'm sorry. 24.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, I was off.
And he's right. So I think we talked about this last night at dinner as well. I think that since, say in Chicago, there's 100 murders a month or something like that. I don't know if that's the right answer, but that's my guess. But since there's like 12 million people that live in Chicago, not that much. But in
Exactly.
Bessemer, there's like 4 murders a month. but there's only 24,000 people that live there.
So
So,
it's per capita.
So the percentages.
per capita, that's probably
the
right.
The delta is way higher.
Econ guy.
What is that?
He's an econ guy.
It's a statistics term.
The Delta?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Mississippi Delta, like the
No,
area
it's
of
like-
Mississippi.
I don't
that's
remember
like a
exactly
swamp.
what a delta is. I learned about it in data analytics.
It's an
like
airline.
I
The,
forgot to.
it's like the.
It's I
It's kind of
think
like
it's
saying
fascinating.
the per capita.
Like Delta Airlines, big thing. Also, Delta is like a company that makes a bunch of like fixtures, like they make like lighting fixtures and shower like heads and stuff like that. I don't understand how there's not like some sort of copyright infringement right there. Like those are two like massive companies.
Yeah.
You ever think about that?
No.
Wow. It
And
also is a
Delta, isn't it?
letter.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So
You
you
know.
can't really.
That might be why.
that's a letter because you were in a fraternity.
Try Delta.
Is there a? Oh yeah, that's right. My favorite sorority at Sanford, Tri Delta.
Same.
I think that
Try DZ.
Tri Deezy. Hey, your wife was a Tri Delt for 1 year,
Yeah. Maybe not even that. I don't remember. Maybe a semester.
maybe one semester. I don't know. Yeah, but okay. So you went to Mountain Brook High School. You were born there, right? Like your family's been there
Yep.
your whole life.
Neither of my parents are from Birmingham. But
Where are they from?
My mom is from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Wow.
Howdy.
Dad's from Montgomery. And they ended up here. They both went to the University of Alabama. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Toll ride.
And me and my sisters grew up whole life in Birmingham.
That's fascinating. Shreveport, I'm familiar with that city for one reason
Really?
because Gracie's family is in Austin and we have to drive through Shreveport to get there.
It's on the way.
And like this is a cold take that it might be the worst city I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, it's no one stays there.
It is.
There's no reason to.
My grandmother's still there, and we're trying to get her to leave.
It is like the worst roads I've ever driven on in my entire like existence. It's kind of
There's not
crazy.
much there. There's not much
There's
there.
a ginormous casino. That's what I was about to say.
Horseshoe Casino.
Yeah, and there's a bowl game there, and that would be like, people go to Birmingham Bowl, that stinks, right? But at least like I don't know,
At
it's a
least you're
nice
not in
stadium.
Shreveport.
But like Shreveport Stadium, genuinely is
Garbage.
it's like how do you explain it? It's not like in downtown. There's not really a downtown,
It's
but it's not in
rusty.
downtown.
It's rusty.
But it's like in a suburb, like right beside the interstate. And it's like Birmingham's is right beside the interstate too, but it's like a junction in downtown. So I feel like it's like in the middle of downtown, so it's
What's
different.
the bowl game called? The Camping World bowl game?
The one in Shreveport, I don't know,
Maybe
something like
that's
that.
the stadium, Camping World Stadium.
Yeah, I'll go Camping World. Or Camping World's the one in Orlando. I don't know. I don't
I'm
freaking
probably
know.
wrong.
Anyways, so Shreveport, Montgomery, they get married at Alabama. Or,
Yeah, they met at
You know what I
Alabama.
mean? Yeah.
Got married, moved to Birmingham.
Wow. Okay, so Myres, when you came to Birmingham, and what was your first, like from Jackson, and then so you grew up in Jackson, come to Sanford. It was just Homewood, right beside Mount Brook. What was the first time that you remember going to Mount Brook, and what were your thoughts?
I remember, I think the earliest Mountain Brook memory I have is I went with, it must have been like a student government thing, because I remember doing some stuff with SGA, and I remember going to the
Like
Taco
your
Mama.
freshman year?
Yeah. I was in like a
That's so sick.
freshman forum, I think is what it was called. And I went to the Taco Mama in Crestline.
The original one, right?
It might be.
It might be, yeah.
I think that sounds right.
Okay.
It's been there a
But
long
I
time.
went there, and then I remember going, there's that intersection, I don't remember the names of the roads, but one spits out to, what is it, Montclair?
Yeah.
And one takes you back around past the country club,
Yeah.
back through Mountain Brook even more,
Yep.
towards English Village. And
Country Club Road.
there's a really, really big house on that corner,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a huge front yard.
Tons of plants.
And then like the driveway that goes up and then goes through the arch
Yeah.
into the, garages in the back. And I remember seeing that house and being like, holy cow, that's a huge house.
Mm.
And that's the first
interesting.
thing I remember about Mountain Brook.
This is definitely like an annoying question and you've probably been asked this before, as the Spartan that you are, what is the biggest house you went to while living in Mountain Brook? And who was it?
That's a good question. I gotta think. There was a house. There's a place called Shook Hill Circle.
I was wondering if it was going to be back there.
Is that the
Some
house
of
that you
those-
showed me on Google Maps?
It's
There's-
almost not the houses, it's the lots that they're on.
Yeah.
The houses
Huge.
back there, if you get on Zillow,
They're huge.
10,000 square feet, 13,000
Yeah,
square
so I
feet,
think-
11,000 square feet.
Those, I didn't go into those, but they're the biggest. that I can think.
There,
I don't know who lives there.
I like looking at big houses. I like looking at houses. I'm interested in architecture and stuff like that. And
That's
so
cool.
I've driven around. Yeah, I'm really cool. So a lot of places that I go, I've driven around neighborhoods with like cool looking houses. Those are some of the biggest houses I've ever seen. They're crazy.
Yeah, no, they're huge.
Okay, so one question that me and Myres were talking about on some podcast the other day. This honestly might have been one of the times we referenced you. But we were like literally curious, like when the houses get like unbelievable there, like I'm talking like $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million. Who are those people? Like, what do they do? Like, did you have any friends in high school? They were like the president of freaking like Amazon or some crap. Like,
See, no, that's the top, and I don't know. I mean, I knew some very wealthy people, but there's also a lot of old people that live
Yeah.
there. There's people in
Yeah.
their 70s. No idea who they are.
I guess that's true. Yeah, they're kind of just like sneaky,
And
secret
there's
people.
people like that that
And
don't
honestly,
even live
I
there the
knew
whole year.
I knew one person. I didn't know them directly, but my college pastor from Mountain Brook, he was like house sitting somewhere one time, and I went over there to talk with him at that house, and it was in Mountain Brook. It was pretty nice. It was right outside of Mountain Brook Village, and he said the older couple that lived there used to own the Birmingham News, like newspaper. And
Mr. and Mrs. News.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs.
The News
Newspaper,
family.
and they sold the newspaper, and then they just have
Wow.
a house in Mountain Brook.
They sold the newspaper.
I hope they sold a lot of them.
Yeah.
That's funny.
They sold one newspaper for like $10 million and then
Wow.
retired.
I remember one time, like my dad. So Wendy, your coworker,
Yeah.
Wendy's husband used to work at the Birmingham News before they like downsized and made it into like a tech only. But literally, what he did was he would, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, he would make like the screen print, like metal things where the ink would go, and they would like press it into
Yeah.
the papers. And we have he gave it to us. We have the metal print for like the 2009 Rose Bowl national championship, like the Alabama News. So it's pretty cool. I don't know,
is cool.
something random about Birmingham News. But anyways, so Mountain Brook though, I remember I've told this to Myres before, but my English teacher, and I think it's my junior year of high school. I can't remember her name. I could know exactly what she looks like though. It's like Wright or something like that. But anyway, she lived in Mountain Brook, but she lived in like a condo that she rented. But she just wanted to live in Mountain Brook so her daughter could go to Mountain Brook High School.
Yeah.
And she started dating. I might have told this to you before, but she started dating this guy, and then they started asking her like to go on these family trips with him, like to Vail and like Europe and all these things. And then she realized that her dad owned Kodak.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah, and her dad never was in Birmingham, but they lived in Mountain Brook though, because it was like a nice, quiet little town. But he was always traveling like charter jets to wherever he was going.
That's crazy.
But yeah,
That's nuts.
the camera company, crazy.
Huge company. Massive.
But I also feel like
Publicly traded.
if there is a super rich family, they probably are going to like either Altamont or like some bougie high school, or they're going to like some charter school in like England, or I don't know. Like they're probably not even staying
Boarding
in
school
Birmingham.
somewhere.
I never really thought about that either. So that's probably why we don't know any of these people, because you get so rich that they're not even involved in Birmingham at all, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's another level, like
Yeah.
sending them overseas and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, the public schools over the mountain were terrific, and that's why a lot of people moved there.
Yeah.
What do you think makes Mountain Brook a terrific school?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I don't know.
What made it terrific for you?
Like we know, like statistically, ACT scores, but for you personally,
I mean, the teachers were great. There's just a huge emphasis on getting you prepared for college. The athletics were great. Obviously, there's great facilities. I don't know what makes a good school.
Yeah, I wonder.
Myres, what do you think?
What makes a bad school besides teachers?
I think the goal of school should be to teach people how to learn and how to be independent and critical thinkers.
I would say one good thing about Mountain Brook is it's got an entrepreneurial spirit to it.
Okay.
I think that's the independent and critical thinker part that I'm referring to.
And despite the reputation, I mean, it's a very hard. People want to be successful. So
Yeah.
all the people I was friends with, extraordinarily hard workers.
I think
And, like,
all
wanted
those
to
are those are good
elite.
things, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Aspirational, ambitious. I think those are good
some
things to
pros.
be.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I had a very interesting high school experience.
Yeah, tell me about yours.
And one thing that I didn't understand was, like, I grew very fond of the things that were associated with, like, it being like a super negative like environment. Like, I grew, like, whenever there was fights, it was like a really fun thing. Like, it was
Fights
like
are great.
it was like planned. Like, everybody, it got to a point like in high school, like, if you were gonna fight somebody, you knew like when and where it was gonna happen. And I remember teachers, like, literally, if they caught wind of it, it was like the world was like ending. Like, they could not understand why anyone would ever get in a fight. But I remember being like thinking it was just like
dominance. You have to prove that you're worth something.
yeah, and it wasn't like people are like lashing out and like stabbing people. It was like, oh, I'm mad at this person. We're gonna fight, and that's pretty like Roman, you know.
David dissed me on Snapchat, so like cafeteria 5 p.m. It's going.
It was
down.
always there was this one parking lot behind Chick-fil-A. That was always where they fought.
Did you ever get mad enough to want to punch someone? Get in a fight? Did you ever get in a physical altercation in high school?
No, I never did. Like, I don't know. I'm not like I wasn't ever in that sort of environment. Like, whenever I was in middle school, PE, like, I remember 6th grade was like really tough because there was a bunch of middle schools, like similarly to Mountain Brook, I think. There's a bunch of middle schools, and then like all the middle schools, there's a bunch of elementary schools, and then in 6th grade, all the elementary schoolers came to one middle school.
Everybody's.
And I remember thinking, because I went from Gardendale, where I was like one of the best athletes, and I came from a city where like sports was the identity kind of thing. Like, that was like the most cool thing to do. And so anyways, I remember getting into 6th grade and really struggling with the fact that like I was nowhere near the best, because I mean, we had a lot of students who came from like really athletic backgrounds, and they were just freaking athletic as heck, and they killed me. But yeah, so man,
You're a competitive guy.
I am a competitive guy. I think it's because, like, me and Annie were just talking about this earlier. Like, I think it's because like I grew up in an environment where, like, if you were good at sports, you were given more responsibility and like
You're just better.
stature and like a lot of stuff, like in all other parts of the school. Like, if you were a good athlete, then you were like,
It's the
I don't
way you
even know.
obtain status.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call that. There's probably like a super philosophical way of explaining what I just explained, but I don't.
I think
know.
it is. I think it is to talk about status, because status, there's different things that attribute status in different sort of cultures and societies, and often in the South,
Yeah,
athletic ability as a child.
for whatever,
Oddly
for
enough.
no reason. Like, that's not correlative to.
Yeah, it doesn't translate as an adult unless you are literally a professional sports.
Yeah, it's crazy how much
person.
it ceases to matter.
Yeah.
And like, my nephew was born, and as soon as they told us he was going to be a boy, me and my dad my brother-in-law, we all started talking about what sports he was going to play.
Yeah.
I wonder
Like
what
6
that
different
is.
sports.
Because to an extent, it is valid that, like, if you as a child grow up and are disciplined in sports, you can become a professional athlete. And I almost
Yeah.
wonder, like, is that everyone, like in the South, is that everyone's first desire? And then, like, when that doesn't pan out, then you try and figure something else out? Like when you are 17 and you realize, oh, I'm not going to be like Major League Baseball, so I guess I should go to college and, like, you know. I wonder what that thought process is.
I honestly, like, I remember living in Washington State that summer, and this dude was from Santa Cruz, California, and grew up like surfing and skating and like all like beautiful nature all around him. And I remember him genuinely asking me, he was like, "What do y'all do?" Like talking about Alabama.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go down that road of just like roasting how pretentious that guy was, because he definitely was in that moment. But I remember telling him, like, I genuinely think that's why we're so much better at sports than everybody else. And people from the Midwest, too. If you think about it, like, Alabama, Michigan, Texas, and, well, I guess, ironically enough, Washington is in the playoff. But it's because no one from Washington is on that team.
There.
Yeah. But, like, Michigan and Alabama are... Well, Michigan's a beautiful state if you've been there. Alabama's a beautiful state if you've been here. But there's, like, stereotypically associated with, like farmland and Detroit, which are just like terrible places.
Yeah.
You know? So anyways, it's just like, I feel like I think genuinely games are fun here, because that's what sports are at their core, is just like an organized game. And games are fun to people who, like, not saying that Alabamians don't have anything to do, but to a certain extent, like, community involvement is huge. And one of the best ways to, like, get involved in the community and do something on Saturdays was like youth basketball, you know, back in like when my grandmother was growing up or something. But it is fascinating though.
Breeds
Like
community.
Yeah.
It does. Brings people together.
Yeah. But why like talent on like in the game is like correlated with like influence in like whatever it was, like student government or like who talked at the pep rallies, or like who got to like get a picture with the mayor or whatever that was. It just didn't make it, like that doesn't make any sense to me.
Being fast when you were in elementary school directly correlates to your confidence levels later on in life.
Yeah.
To some
Literally.
extent.
Yeah.
And I was
Fast
slow.
kids,
I
man,
was fast. I was fast until I
fast.
stopped growing up, and then I had to, I
Then it just
took a
plateaued.
humble pill, because I was running. I ran track and I did sprints,
It's true though.
and like eventually the guys were like 6'4", and I was 5'7", and my
Doesn't
stride just I couldn't keep up. you
Dude,
know?
what do you think? What do you think is different about that now? Like, I don't know. Grace and I went to crafts for the first time the other day, speaking of Millbrook, and that is like where all of the middle schoolers hang out
they're
at.
just terrorizing it.
And there's a bunch of them, and they were like all playing on their phones. So I'm just like imagining that. I'm like, they probably don't
yeah.
care at all about who's fast anymore.
Yeah, because now, gosh, yeah, young kids.
Yeah.
I'm talking like I'm not 24 years old and use social media every day. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they're comparing themselves not just to the people in their grade, but the whole earth.
World. Yeah.
And like
Which
getting
is,
fed stuff
dude,
for their age group.
brutal.
Yeah, it sucks.
Like, you can't compare to everyone else, because
Yeah.
there is so many people that are better than you at whatever your niche thing is.
And like even the people that are better than them in their grade, they're looking at the people that are better than everyone. Which that sucks for them.
It's also hard just in general as an adult. Like,
Trying to limit that.
yeah, it's why people who are super niche in business, I think, can be really successful, because you just have you get really good at one very, very, very specific thing, and then you become the expert in that.
Yep.
And then everyone comes to you if they're the exact customer who is there for that, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think that's how you start. And then eventually, if you're really good at that, you can start to expand your reach. But you got to find your niche first and focus on them
and it's
first.
hard to choose something when so much is bombarded into your brain. There's almost decision paralysis for what you are going to do with your life, who you're going to be.
What made you choose to major in business? And what was your specific major? Was it finance?
I majored in finance.
Okay.
I was always interested in how money worked.
Yeah.
Stock market.
Yeah.
Hey, they say
Real
money
estate.
talk. What's your conversation?
Money talks.
Can't
And
hide money.
so, and I've also, I've always felt like I wanted to do something entrepreneurial one day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to me. And initially, and I still have a large interest in real estate. That's what I grew up around. That's what my dad does. Now I'm in insurance.
It's just adjacent. It's
Yeah.
financial services, but you deal a lot in real estate.
And they, eventually want me to specialize in real estate companies, talking to them, because that's what I know how to talk about.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was just a cliche business student. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Still don't. But I kind of like being that way. But I'm very
There's an
business-minded.
adventure to the unknown.
Yeah.
I do think that I just want to say that this isn't this. You might have already said this, Myres. This is like a segment we wanted to add in this week was business talk because Myres freaking loves this crap. It's not like I don't care about it, but I'm close.
That's fair.
Which is kind of funny. Like some of the things that I care the most about, Steven is just like, okay.
When you think business, though, that's such a general term. What do you think?
Okay, this is what I think when I think of business. The most successful friends I have, like in terms of business, are freaking miserable. That's what I think of when I think of people who work in business. When I think of like what people actually like yearn for when they're into business is like creativity and organization. And I'm not getting but also I got a fascination with it too. Like I watched the Microsoft Excel World Championships. Did y'all know that was a thing?
I've
I
heard
actually
of it,
did
actually.
know that was a thing.
I watched it on YouTube the other day. It's fascinating, but also I'm like, it's just so it's insane what people can do. And honestly, like I've sat with like there's this old guy named Ron I'm friends with. I'm not even gonna try to explain how I know him, but he's like made a bunch of money off the stock market because he like tracks these like dips, which you'll probably know what that means. He explained it to me, but it's like if something goes into the like I think it's like the second standard deviation or third standard deviation off of like its average at this point during this time and this setting, yada yada, it's the time to buy. And he bought a bunch of Carnival's cruise during COVID, and he's made like boats of.
No pun intended.
Wow, that's a good one. Wow, how about that?
Wow.
Yeah, but he's made boatloads of money off of it because of it. And then, so anyways, like I feel like I have like fascination of it, but also like when it comes to like finance bros are just such a thing now.
Yeah.
And those guys just like, they're like morning routine people. And like, don't get me wrong, like I budget and like I take really good care of my money. But to me, like, when this is going to get deep, when your calling becomes like logical and not like personal, if that makes any sense, you're going down like a bad path.
Yeah.
And I think people who definitely associate their identity with like career, that's a bad thing to associate your identity with. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like
I'll say this to add to your point. The people that you see build these massive companies from the ground up and become billionaires.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a generalized statement.
Yeah.
All those people are psychos.
Yeah.
And they have to be.
Yeah.
There's a certain type of person that can become a billionaire. And
Yeah.
They're
it takes
very
relentless-
obsessive.
Yeah, exactly.
Like almost like disorder-esque in my opinion.
Yeah, like,
but also like
that's why you see someone like Elon Musk, whose personal life is a disaster.
All of them. I mean,
Yeah.
But
Bill
like
Gates.
he's running Tesla. He's running X. He's
That's who they are.
financially
it's
gone nuts.
It's interesting to me, like for me, like if you want to talk business, my question is like, I guess this really only applies to believers, or to like Christians. But if I ask you a question like, is there going to be currency in heaven? Like you realize through that conversation, typically where that conversation leads is like currency in general is a product of bad, like of evil. Like the fact that we have to have another means of like proof that like this is worth this versus this is worth that. Cause like, you know, I think like a small town, like the first ever town that ever existed, small town. If I like, you know, had a supply of wood at my house, but you lived on no wood, but you had wheat, you should think that like your wheat could easily trade for my wood. But say like I got flour from somebody else, then I don't need it, but you need wood. So it's like, okay, you got to give me something. Like that's like instead I should just like care for you. You should care for me. That's like an oversimplification. But I do think that accruing wealth to a certain extent, I think is like making up for control, but like control of what? Like I don't, especially if you're sacrificing personal life. Because for me, I'm like your wife, your kids, your family, and all of those things, in my opinion, or like why we're on earth is like the familial structure. But I also understand that that's like difficult for some people to wrap their heads around because of how terrible the familial structure is statistically these days. So I don't know. It's hard for me to like get into this. Also, the reason I'm talking about this right now is because I see more people in the finance realm associate identity with career than any other. It seems like every other industry, you have to like prove why it's like a calling versus like what the business people are doing, if that makes sense. Like social workers have to be like, oh yeah, I just like really love caring for, or like teachers are like, oh, this is a calling. It's like maybe like they're just freaking normal, and the finance people are. I don't know. Here's my I'm sorry. I just kind of ranted.
No, it's okay. We needed to hear that.
Yeah. So from someone who's not into business, how would y'all rebuttal?
Well, I'll say I am into business, and
before you go further, what do you think business is?
Okay, good question. Because I
think we need to define our terms a little bit.
Look at it differently, and I also think the money in itself. You think about how important it is in your life, regardless.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is. Like, you started going to school at a young age for what reason? To go to college so that you could do something.
Sure.
Graduate. Not everybody does, obviously, but
yeah.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
When I think of business and I think of creating wealth,
yeah,
it's more of like you're creating a resource.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you do with that, that's what matters.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me how that can happen.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different avenues to make money, and there's so many different things you can do with money.
Yeah.
To be like, I want to make a lot of money. I would never sacrifice any relationship that I have to do so. But it's interesting to me that it's possible.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's a cool way of putting it. I was talking to a friend today, and he is an anti-bank. It's like, I understood that from this conversation, but he was saying that he was thinking about taking out a home equity so that he could put more of his like savings into renovation. And instead he was like, yeah, the bank just wants collateral so they can own it, not me. And I was like, that's not why the bank loans money. Like the bank loans money because we can't, it's at least originally the bank did that out of like kindness because everyone could like pool money together.
Well, the bank makes money by loaning out money. That's what interest is.
Yeah.
And so here's what I see business as. Business to me is you're solving someone's problem in exchange for currency. And currency is a mediating tool so that if you have wood and I have wheat and I want your wood but you don't want my wheat, I can still get your wood from you by exchanging you something else that you can take to Andrew.
Yeah.
And you can go say, hey, Andrew, you might not want my wood that I can trade you for your blanket, but I still need to get a blanket because I'm cold. And so here's some paper that is backed by something that we call money. And so if I take some money, give it to you, you can give me a blanket, and you don't have to take my wood. That's okay because I gave you some money. So it's a mediation tool.
Yeah.
So then business, that is a business transaction, really. Yeah. So you want the service of a blanket because you're cold.
Yeah.
You need the product of a blanket because you're cold. And so you need to buy that from him with money. So business in itself is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Money is not a bad thing. But if you make any of those things more important than other things that are important, it can become a bad thing. It's the idolization of money. It's the idolization of wealth accruing. It's the idolization of a business. If you find all of your identity in your business, that can become a bad thing.
Yeah, and like maintaining a lifestyle and status with your money and thinking that you'd have to provide that for your family, this extremely luxurious lifestyle that's super comfortable. That is dangerous. And it's easy to justify too that you're giving your family what you never had or something like that.
Yeah.
But and another thing is, sometimes people under the guise of being frugal hang on to their money harder than someone even more successful would ever do.
Yeah.
Like, just pinching pennies, it's not a bad thing all the time, but there are a lot of people who take pride in really hanging on to what money they do have as like a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's just as much of an obsession with money as making a lot of money.
Yeah. Part of why I would want to accrue a lot of wealth is to be giving to others.
Yeah, ridiculously generous would be the most fun thing.
Yeah, but I think it starts now when we're 24 years old.
Or
we should be giving now in what ways that we can be, because that's scriptural. He who's faithful with little will be faithful with much, or whatever it is. Like, it's the principles that you have when you're young. If you stick to them, you have more opportunity to be more giving and more good with those principles when you're later on in life.
You know how I would define business? This is my definition, and this definition is going to be a predicament. Okay. You know how when you go to a coffee shop or I don't know, like Chick-fil-A or something like that, and they give you a bad cup. That moment, like that feeling, that stinks. So obviously the main way that I've ever considered running a business is running a coffee shop. And for me, I think that it's so annoying that you have to, like, say you're running a coffee shop. I'll explain it this way. Say you're running a coffee shop,
right?
And you're tight on money.
Okay.
What are the first things that are going to go? Where are you going to drop in quality in order for you to obtain more wealth otherwise? That predicament is how I would define business. And I hate that. I hate that the soap in the bathroom, the paper towels in the bathroom, the toilet paper in the bathroom, which are things that are things that people deeply care about the quality of in their home. But then whenever you're hosting them in your just because it's called a business, that stuff gets sacrificed. Like, oh, we don't care about your bathroom experience or whatever. But also, people take advantage of you, so they'll make the bathroom like a freaking suite. There's all these different predicaments you have to find. But I also think about it's hard for me to think about business in a bigger, because I know that if you're running freaking regions or something like that, how you run business is it's wild to me that there is someone at Regions that in no way will ever meet the CEO, but based upon Regions' trajectory of growth, they knew they had to hire a position that's just gonna run specific sets of numbers, in order for like the whole thing to function. Like how they found that out blows my freaking mind.
It's a machine.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I see business as a really, really cool puzzle that involves
You're a puzzle guy.
people, and like, to me, I would never run a coffee shop if I couldn't do it with excellence. And I think what you're finding is annoying about business is there's so many factors, and it's really, 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 really difficult to run even a simple business with excellence. And I think the people who are excellent at business are the ones who make all the money. But there's so much time and work that it takes to make something excellent that they often end up being the same people who like sacrifice their own families to run a business in an excellent way.
And I would say that those types of people are so rare. And when they can, like, say like Jeff Bezos accrues wealth. Jeff Bezos probably is putting a lot of pressure on himself, but there's probably a lot of people who depend on him. Yeah. And whether it's self-inflicted or inflicted by the other people, he's like feeling pressure from other people too. And I think that's like a scary motive, but I do think that for sure has to be a motive of some people.
Yeah.
I went down a rabbit hole the other day on McDonald's.
Ooh.
And well, I'll start with another trivia question about McDonald's.
Okay.
How many pounds of French fries do you think McDonald's cooks every year worldwide?
Oh,
worldwide.
Oh gosh, you just made that big. I was thinking like one day.
All of the French fries that they cook in a year.
Pounds.
Wait, can you give me an estimate of what like one potato weighs?
I'll give you 2 pieces of context. There are almost 40,000 McDonald's on Earth, different locations. And I think a large fry, which is the most popular item on the menu,
for sure,
is like 6 ounces, something like that.
Okay. And then 1 pound is 12 ounces, right? 16 ounces. Okay.
I don't even want to try and do the math in my head.
I mean, the math would be hard.
I just want to say 25 billion pounds.
25 billion pounds. So that would mean every person on Earth. Okay, 25 billion pounds. What's your guess?
I think that's kind of like, so if, like, say 40,000 McDonald's definitely do 20 pounds a day. So what is that math? Like 800,000 pounds a day. So I'll go
65.
Yeah, so I'll go 500 million is going to be my rough guess.
500 million and 25 billion. 2 massively different guesses. The correct answer is 3.29 billion pounds of French fries every year.
Oh my gosh.
Which
I knew it would be in the billions,
it's good.
Yeah.
3 billion pounds.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And
wow.
Then I watched the movie The Founder.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
The guy who, once again, you see, not the greatest guy, but without him, McDonald's would not be what it is today.
Can I give one little bit of pushback?
Oh yeah.
French fries would still exist today.
Oh yeah, the world would keep turning. You don't need McDonald's.
Fast food.
But there wouldn't be 40,000 buildings feeding a percentage of the earth every day.
I mean, did Mr. McDonald invent fast food? Did he not?
The McDonald's brothers,
the drive-through, I
came
think,
up
is what
with
it was.
This system of making the food really fast and having it ready at the counter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was revolutionary. How they set up their kitchen.
So then it's not only that they have 40,000 stores that feed people all over the earth, but also paved the path for dozens of other kinds of companies. Probably, if you think about small fast food chains, like hundreds of different kinds of companies and billions, probably trillions and trillions of dollars.
Oh yeah,
that are made by other people in other business. Like that's revolutionary.
I was thinking about this today. Yeah, do you eat cava ever? CAVA.
Yeah.
whenever Cava was only in Atlanta, like it was probably somewhere else before that.
It started in Seattle.
Like whenever it was in the Southeast, it was only in Atlanta first.
Yeah.
And I had it in Atlanta, and it was unbelievably good. And now that they're like everywhere, Birmingham's locations are trash.
I kind of stopped eating.
Yeah. I was like really bummed about that. So however they're doing, if Mr. Cava is listening, your restaurants are dropping in quality fast.
I listened to the podcast, How I Built This. And
For
they
Cava?
interviewed the Cava guys.
Wow.
They bought Zoe's Kitchen.
Is that what Zoe's Kitchen is now?
And they turned them all into Cavas. They tried to fix. Yeah, they tried to fix Zoe's, and then figured out
literally are in
it
the
was
old
a better
Zoe's.
way. It was a better way for them to just turn them into Cavas, and that's why downtown Homewood is now a Cava, same spot as where the Zoe's was, and then downtown Birmingham, by the Publix, the Cava used to be a Zoe's.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I had no idea. Was Zoe's a Mediterranean place?
Yeah, it
sort
was a
of.
chain.
But it was weird because it was like a Mediterranean place that also had like mac and cheese and tuna salad or something, like some like other
salad, yeah,
things.
lots of
I don't think I
chicken
ever
salad.
ate at Zoe's. I'll be honest.
And they, when they were trying to fix the business model, they were like, "Look, we kind of just need to like nix the whole Zoe's menu and just we know Cava works." So they switched
Wow.
every store to a Cava.
I feel like I've been lied to. Truly.
Yeah.
I loved Cava.
it
at
blew
first.
my mind when I learned about that.
Wow. Okay. Well, we've talked about business for 25 straight minutes now. So we're going to move to the next segment. My favorite segment,
All right.
which is Myres Sports. So now that we've talked about business
I've
for
been waiting
25
for
minutes,
this.
now we can talk about Myres Sports, which is definitely we lost female listeners. I mean, ages ago.
Yeah, we
so
don't
this
have any
doesn't
girl,
even matter.
no women are listening anymore, so this is
Okay.
all for the fellows.
This one is probably the least Myres Sports segment we've ever had. I just thought this was fascinating. Okay, so today's fun sports fact for you, Myres. I would love to hear your commentary on this afterwards.
Yep.
There is only one city in America that has all the major sports teams and that they all have the same color. I'm not going to tell you the colors because that'll give it away. But do you have a guess for what city it is?
I'm gonna
They're like it's pretty. These are like iconic. Well, not all of them, but some of these teams are like iconic.
I think it's New York.
Okay, name a few of the sports teams in New York.
The Brooklyn Nets,
The Brooklyn Nets, which are black and white,
the Yankees.
which are navy and white. So no.
Okay.
Strike one.
Boston.
Okay. Start naming some Boston sports teams.
Red Sox.
Red Sox,
Celtics are green.
Celtics. So pretty polar.
Nope.
Blue, red, and green and white. So strike two. I'll give you one more guess, and then I'll relieve you of your pain. I'd actually love to hear Andrew's guess too.
I'm trying to think. I love a good trivia.
It has all the how many? What are the? There's baseball, football, basketball.
I
Probably
think
just talking about those three.
Yeah, those. are
actually
like
they
the
have
three.
three sports teams: baseball, football, and hockey. Yeah, so there's no basketball there. There is a basketball team in the same state. I think that's probably why there's not a basketball team there. But there is a football and a baseball team in that other city in the same state as well. And a hockey team. So I don't know why there's not a basketball team there, but the other three there are.
Gosh.
I'm gonna say L.A.
LA. You know, that was probably true not that long ago. But now that there's even two football teams there, they have different colors. So
Every team is in LA.
do you have a guess, Andrew, before I give it away?
Give me the region of the country.
It's in the Northeast. I should have done that. That would have been a good guess.
Thinking in the Northeast.
When you said hockey, I knew it had to be something above.
Is it Pittsburgh?
It is Pittsburgh,
Pirates in this.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, Pirates, Steelers, and the Penguins. And the Penguins is more of a gold, but they historically were black and yellow. And it goes into this whole thing about how like the Pitt family, their like coat of arms. Somebody's knocking on the door.
I couldn't tell.
Oh. Their coat of arms were black and yellow. So that's why.
That's cool.
Crazy, man. Wiz Khalifa. Shout out. B movie. Okay, well, there's our sports segment. What do you think about that?
Okay, before we move on from the sports segment, I listened to another one.
Okay.
Where you talked about...
Was it when we talked about baseball?
Yes. It was the time
yeah.
of a baseball game and the amount of actual...
Yes.
That one I got really close on.
Which was fascinating. But
Do you have a
for an
rebuttal?
NFL, it's not necessarily a rebuttal.
Okay.
I am to anyone listening, I'm a huge baseball fan, but I also love football.
I thought about that. I actually wanted to talk to you about this. I forgot about that right now.
I love sports. I love sports history. I love
Myers
nostalgia.
Sports is funny because I could not really care less
Yeah, I love
about
that.
most sports.
That's why it's a great segment.
Yeah.
But you said a baseball game is like 3 hours, and there's only
9 minutes and 55 seconds
Right.
of actual play,
so
ball play.
not to be a dork about it,
Yeah.
but NFL games on
Okay.
average longer than MLB.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Mm.
Ads.
It's basically the same statistic. About 11 minutes of
Wow.
the ball is actually in play.
That makes sense.
And now NBA games
That's
are
crazy,
a lot
actually.
shorter.
Which is fascinating. Well, I guess it's not that fascinating because, like, literally, there's what I don't know.
But
NBA
football
is just
feels like there's so many less football games that they matter so much more when you watch them. So it just feels more important. It's not. Baseball is. You go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say one of the things, and I've talked about this before. I grew up playing soccer. I was not forced to play soccer though, so I'd like to say there's a little bit of organic nature to this.
Yeah.
But like, I love soccer's my most favorite sport.
Soccer's super cool.
One thing that I'm growing to like love about it is that the clock does not stop. Like the clock, it is a running clock always, and like when the game's over, the game is over. Like, so there's a level of energy in soccer that like literally does not exist because there's just timeouts. Like, which I don't know. And one thing I'm growing to, and I think this is becoming more and more prevalent because I am starting to watch basketball a little bit as we're getting into the season, and I despise how people in basketball can just like once it gets in and like down underneath like 60 seconds, they like do the 3-point like foul, and then you only have 2 points scored, and then you can because of the free throws, and then like you foul the other person, or you like that. The ending of basketball games when they're close are like
It's horrible.
excruciating. Like they're so annoying. So that, and then I do like the fact that like baseball is like you have like an at bat and like you're done. You have
no clock.
They have 3 outs. Yeah. Well, I guess they have
Well, now they have a pitch clock.
pitch clock, but no clock.
Actual clock
Yeah,
to
and
the game.
it's another reason why like golf and tennis I'm growing to like a lot more because like exactly what like you have to play every single shot. Like granted, golf's like pretty boring to those who like don't understand. Like you have to get really into golf to like watching golf. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, back to the baseball thing. So like for you, when you like giving like if I were to prompt like a real rebuttal to that, like for me to say like that is why it's so boring because I'm not a big football fan either.
Yeah.
Like
I would say baseball, it's in recent years, it's had some problems it has to deal with. It's for so long, baseball was king in America. I mean, for like 100 years.
yeah.
America's pastime.
America's pastime. And the first superstars were all baseball players. The first
That's true. I never thought about that.
heroes were all baseball players. And a lot of I guess not until like the 60s and 70s when the NFL and NBA really got going,
Yeah.
they started to face any sort of competition.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different game than football or basketball. I mean, it's the only game where the defense has the ball and there's no clock, and it always goes down to the last strike for it to finish.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so much longer. It's hard people's attention spans are much less
Yeah.
now, especially kids.
Yeah.
And baseball is more of a story than it is like a clip that you would watch that's like super entertaining for 5 seconds.
One tackle,
And it's-
one shot,
Yeah.
whatever.
Now there's exciting moments like your walk-off home runs and stuff, but it's like it's a chunk of your year. It's not just like one Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a completely different experience that I love and fell in love with, and I'm also a nerd about like old players, and my grandfather loved baseball, and it kind of connected me with him, and it's super nostalgic. But yeah, it's I love it because it's different than the other major sports, and I think it gets a bad rap. But I still think it is wildly successful. You see like how much these players get paid.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
unbelievable.
that was something that we talked about. I can't remember who it was I was talking about with, but the newest deal from the Los Angeles Dodgers guy, it was $700 million 10-year deal.
Yep.
The wildest part about that deal to me is the same guy who's like flaunting that money just bought Chelsea and spent $1 billion last year alone buying players to come play for Chelsea.
The owner of the Dodgers?
Yeah, he's the one who bought Chelsea, which is London's Premier League soccer team, or one of London's.
That's insane.
And I'm like, he's an American too. He's not Saudi Arabian. Like, he's an American, so he must have some other people backing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Like-
company.
Yeah,
Those
it's
are
like
businesses.
Back to
Like,
business.
Elon Musk bought Twitter, but he had like a lot of other people pitching in money.
Yeah.
Just like
just because it was up for sale, like you have to. There's like a level of like time is part of the commodity, or time is part of the value of that. Just because like, you have to do it.
yeah.
It's wild though. 700 million.
Andrew,
Like I don't understand. Like I don't think the Dodgers are gonna make $700 million in the next 10 years.
Well, I mean,
How much do baseball teams make?
dude.
the thing is if you look at the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB, the NFL is the most popular sports league in America.
That's I would have guessed NBA
And
because
the
the NBAs are
second,
so
and the
famous.
NBA has exploded in like the
Yeah.
past 20 years.
They have the most like superstars.
Oh yeah, and but as far as which leagues make the most money, the NFL makes the most money, and the MLB makes the second most money, because they sell tickets and they sell
Tickets and
they
merchandise.
Play 162 games,
Yeah,
and
there's a lot more money to be made. That's fair.
there's just a longer season with a lot more money to be made, with longer TV contracts, stuff like that. But yeah, like there's out of the top 5 biggest sports contracts ever, the majority of them are baseball players, which is
Like within America, not including international soccer.
I mean, not like Messi and Ronaldo and those guys.
I think that's fascinating too. Like, I think whenever I was a kid, that conversation of like the top 4 leagues are like you're talking about the NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL, and they were like the MLS is gonna make it one day, and it's like I don't think I'm at the point now where I don't know if the MLS will ever. Maybe one day it'll become like a top
Maybe
league,
in like 30 years.
but I genuinely think soccer will become like I think by the time that, especially that we're older, I do think soccer will be like just as popular as any of definitely hockey. I'd already think it's as popular as hockey because I think like hockey people are hockey people and Premier League people are like Premier League people.
Now, sports, it's just going to continue to make more money.
Yeah.
People
Freaking love it. Yeah. I'm interested to see like if they're going to start playing like they've talked about playing Champions League games, which is like all the top how do I explain that? Like all the top teams from every soccer league in Europe play each other in a tournament every year called the Champions League, and they've talked about hosting some of those games, like games that matter in America because America has like so many fans now.
Yeah.
And like the Club World Cup, they're going to like vamp that up and start making it like this worldwide thing. So like the top 4 teams from every league in the whole world are going to play in a tournament every 4 years. And they're going to make that like a big deal. And they're hosting that in America. They're also hosting the literal World Cup in America.
That's wild.
Which is huge.
And they're hosting the Copa America in America, which is Brazil, like the South America's championship. So they're doing like there's going to be like a lot of footy going on in America in the next few years. So,
Yeah.
anyways, there's today's segment of Myres Sports.
Myres has been eerily quiet for this.
Myres Sports segment.
Andrew,
we went on a tangent.
I had one question that I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
which is actually, it's another segment that we have. It's called,
Oh.
What are your fashion influences?
I kind of knew you'd ask me that.
Yes.
I am wearing what I wore to work. So,
Okay.
to be fair, this is kind of what everyone wears to my office.
Yeah.
My fashion influences,
And that can be brands, that can be people, that can
Yeah.
be stores.
We just would love to know where you get your who influences you.
When you're like,
Or what
okay, I need to
influences
wear
you.
clothes. Like, where do you
I would
find
say
inspiration?
I never even really thought about the clothes that I wear or like fashion at all until probably midway through college.
Wow.
Like, I kind of just wore jeans. Like, I kind of just wore what everyone else wore, basic tennis shoes and jeans every day. I wouldn't say I'm super into fashion, but there are things that, like, I'm like, oh, I really want those pants. And I think the idea behind it all is like cowboy, if that makes sense.
Wow.
I like two stores that I think follow suit. Tacovas
Great store.
and Orvis. I love those stores.
Yeah.
I've never shopped at Orvis, but I love
They
Tacovas.
got good stuff. So I'll deflect the question back to you. What influences you?
Well, I talk about fashion a lot.
Yeah,
Myres, I want to know a specific person to give you direction in this. I want to know a specific person or two that you think influences you the most.
Well, you influence me a lot because we're mutually interested in similar.
Yeah, I was more so talking about figures. You can leave it at me if you want, but I was more so talking about like public
High
figures.
praise.
I don't think I draw much inspiration from particular public figures. I think it tends
Really?
to be from like cultures and from my friends.
Okay.
Like you and Tucker, I think, are two friends that I like your fashion. And then
Thank you.
like cities or places like Scandinavia and
Yeah.
countries.
Is there
Denmark.
an era from history that you think had better fashion than people now?
Oh, that's a good question.
I really
Like, it seems like the 90s
here's a
are coming
person.
back.
Yeah, here's a person. So pretty much my whole time in
Oh,
college,
man.
I would watch a Seinfeld episode and I would
And
try
straight
to
up wear
copy
that.
Jerry Seinfeld's outfit like
You know
the
what?
next day.
I love. He has some fire.
He does.
does.
He also rocks. I think the thing of this, he rocks Jordans
Yeah.
in like a really casual way, and I'm kind of into it right
Yeah.
now. Like, I kind of want to get a pair of like Jordans, just because Jordans are like, Jordan's like a brand that's like bigger than itself. It's
Yeah.
like it stands for something. It's not just
Yeah.
a shoe. I kind of want to get a pair of Jordans only because I like respect the heck out of Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm not a basketball guy.
Yeah.
I don't like. I like
But
Michael
you
Jordan.
identify with the brand. That's
Yeah,
what
but
the
I'm like,
genius
I
behind all of
kind of want the
Yeah.
vibe.
I think 90s definitely heavy influence on me. I'm also kind of in a moment of redefining what I want to communicate to other people in the clothes that I wear. Because I'm an adult. I do work a job in insurance, so there is like a level of professionalism that I want to have.
Yeah.
What do you wear to work usually?
I wore this today. I tend to have some sort of a collar or a mock neck or a like a turtleneck kind of thing going on with like a skate shoe or a sneaker, because this is comfy to me, and it's what I feel like I am myself if I'm wearing some kind of a skate shoe or a sneaker, and I do find that like sometimes, our insurance agency focuses mostly on churches, and so I'm interacting with pastors, and a lot of times these pastors will be wearing full suits if I go to interact with them. And so I do want to be like respectful of them and not just wear some kind of graphic tee because I think it looks cool, but I want to have a level of professionalism.
Yeah.
but I don't want to feel that pressure from the man, you know? Like that's ambiguous, and honestly, business is a lot more casual now than I think it ever has been. And so there is freedom, and I feel the freedom to dress as I please. And so sometimes I do just wear a white t-shirt to work. Yeah. But whatever I'm wearing to me is respectable and respectful to my surroundings. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's a good way to look at it.
That's kind of how I feel.
I think that I don't know. The arrows question really threw me off there. I'm really curious, man.
It's interesting for
so many
guys
different ways.
Because so many guys, it's something they think about because they wake up every day and put clothes on.
Yeah.
But not something, at least for my friends, we don't ever talk about it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about it because
it'll be like, oh, those boots are awesome.
Yeah,
get those.
Because like at Samford, where we all went to school together, there's a thrift culture and like a fashion culture that kind of permeates. And it's funny that I watch people like start to get into it who weren't into it before, and they start to like get the cool shoes or get the hat or get the whatever, and then I see it kind of mesh with their old clothes, and then they wear like some bad outfits until they eventually figure out how to like be their own
bring it all
self,
together.
You know?
Yeah, I was that way.
And yeah, same. I think that's just part of it. It's part of experimenting. But I think I wanted to ask you about it because you never.
That's fascinating.
Seem to get into the thrift thing.
You
like
and your
people.
You and your buddies like are really well dressed.
Yeah, it's not that you dress badly. I didn't want to communicate that.
No.
I wanted to communicate you didn't delve into like the thrift thing and like the tattered, torn up NASCAR T-shirt thing. You know? Like you never went down that road.
I would say after college, so much of college was just you wear a T-shirt and sweatpants every day, and then if you have to dress up for a function or something, you wear a suit.
Sure.
Yeah. It's like you never had to really do anything besides wear something super nice and then wear random clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But after college...
Except for that one business class where they're like, you have to dress professional to business 200.
Yeah, and I would just still wear a suit probably.
Yeah.
But then after college, you feel more like an adult, especially like a year after college.
Sure.
You're going out to places, you're meeting people. For the first time, at least for me, it's you think about what you're going to wear just to go out somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, you kind of have to develop your style.
Mm.
And yeah, it's the first time in my life I've sort of tried to do that.
Yeah. That's actually, that's.
And then you got to I wear, a collared shirt to work every day.
Mm.
But yeah.
So what do you think when you see guys who put effort into dressing, but they don't dress like business casual, whatever you call, like when you see guys like myself or other people around Birmingham who are putting effort into what they're wearing, but they're dressing like, I don't know what you would call me, but
yeah,
like
I think
that.
it's cool. I think it's cool. I think they took the time to develop their style. And not a lot of guys do. I think I notice more when a guy is wearing something dumb, like he's wearing a flannel and suit pants, like blue trousers.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But like trying to look business professional, like.
Yeah.
Colors, that's what I noticed the most. Is it's not
I'm
even
the
like
same way.
the style, really, but good colors.
Mm. Yeah,
I think that's the most important thing.
I think that same thing. Like literally, I was at Home Depot on Sunday. I hate to flex, but I was at Home Depot on Sunday.
Home Depot flex.
And there was a dude walking in. He was an old guy, and I'm not kidding. This was his outfit. Like t-shirt, like short sleeve t-shirt, red Tommy Hilfiger like sleeveless like vest that was red. So his gray t-shirt, red vest, like turquoise bathing suit,
Oof.
white tube socks, and loafers, like penny loafers, not like house loafers, like penny loafers. And I was just like, that's insane. Like that he like put on, like he knew he was wearing a red vest and he put on turquoise shorts.
I think the colors conversation is really interesting because I think sometimes I wear two of like a really similar shade color.
Yeah.
Like I think in one of our previous episodes, I was wearing like a navy mock neck with a navy sweater over it. And I think I feel the most like I know what I'm doing in fashion when I can wear something that it's like the same color, but it's a slightly different shade. And I know it still works together. That is when I think I feel the most like big brain, big head fashion. I know how to like put together something, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And to answer your question even more, I think most guys, like just a basic guy, doesn't want to have to think about their style.
Yeah.
So they just pick a brand that they identify with and just go with
Yeah.
that
Wow.
for the rest of their life. Which I do that. There are brands that I love. But eventually you get to a point where, and nothing against older people, we all have great dads and granddads, but you get to a point you don't want to look like your dad or granddad.
Yeah.
What they're wearing now, because you're like, I'm young, I need to do something different.
There's a lot of merit in that, I think, because there's so many decisions that people have to make throughout the day, throughout their lives. And there's a lot of merit, I think, in just like clothes are not a decision that you want to make.
Yeah,
that
and I think
decision.
guys, especially if you get married, you kind of just, your wife buys you clothes every Christmas and you just wear them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like to a certain extent, like, I mean, I wear a white t-shirt and black jeans like almost every single day of my life.
Yeah.
But like the only things that I have like besides that, like, and I'm a white t-shirt, like I'm fiend. Like I want to find the perfect white t-shirt. I'm still in pursuit of that.
Yeah.
But on top of that, it's like Gracie and Gracie's mom, because Gracie tells her mom what to get me like sweaters and sweatshirts and whatever. And that's what I wear, like on top of my clothes or on top of my uniform, my normcore uniform, as they call it. But it is a fascinating thing.
It is.
Fashion.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Hey man, Andrew Sink, this was a good time. It was a good time having you on the pod. Sink, you're a friend of the pod, and we're happy about that. And I just want to let you know. And having you on, it's a good thing, man.
I'm honored to be here.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, let's do a little recap. What did we talk about today?
We talked about our upbringings a little bit.
Mountain Brook.
Go Spartans.
Alabama. We talked about business for so long.
Yeah, we did.
That was fun.
We talked about business for a long time.
Sports. Myres was fascinated.
So interested.
Wow. And fashion.
And fashion. Some good
Mountain
times.
Brook. Sports, business, fashion.
Yeah.
That's what we should call our podcast now. Word of mouth. Psych. Mountain Brook Sports Fashion Business. Honestly, we get some listeners, I bet.
We never
would.
talked comedy. Maybe
Dang it.
Hey, there's always next time.
Hey, that's right. Hey, once you're on as a guest, you can be on as a host. So
Wow.
you have to come host.
You'll have to come host.
If you hosted with Myres, who would you want your first guest to be?
That's such a good question.
I was about to say someone.
Anyone in the
sorry, glad that
world,
you
or do we have to
interrupted.
know him?
What?
Do we have to know him?
No? Oh, actually, sorry. Yes. It has to be someone.
It has to be someone we could literally get on.
Yeah.
They have to be a good conversationalist to some extent.
Sure.
I'll think about it, and when I figure it out, we're gonna bring him on.
I was gonna
Yeah.
joke that we should bring Will Simmons.
Oh,
That'd be great.
Simmons would be
That'd be
awesome
really
to have on a
funny.
It would
podcast.
be. Yeah, you should have him.
He would. I think he would smile a lot.
Yeah.
Will Green would be good too.
Oh my gosh, that would be a chaotic
That would be
podcast.
mad. It would have to be. It could maybe just be like you and Will, or just me and Will. Like we I don't think it might be too much to have 3 people on with Will Green.
Yeah, Will would make it absolute chaos.
Yeah.
Genuinely, it would be his goal. Anyways, Hey, thanks for coming on. This was a great time.
Absolutely.
Talked about so many good things, and we got to talk to you about them.
Gosh.
That's what matters. So,
I'm
word of
flattered.
mouth, episode 5.
Crazy. Wham.
Done.
Adios.
Wham.
Wham.
Welcome to the secret segment of the podcast where we talk about secret things on the secret segment.
Secret.
All right, today on our secret segment, I have the top 3 most addictive snacks, and I would love to hear y'all's thoughts.
Addictive as in most
The most-
purchased because they can't stop eating them.
Nerds, clusters.
No,
Oh my
well,
God.
I think that definitely is part of it,
Or you
but a
keep
part of it
reaching into
is
the
like
back.
with the science.
Mm.
Like
Oh, I have my guess for number 1.
what?
Oreos.
Whoa. I said nerds clusters. It's definitely not that, but that has been like a really common thing amongst people of our age recently.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Nerd clusters nor Oreos are on this list.
Cheetos.
Cheetos are number 4.
Mm.
Number 3.
Reese's Cups.
That is number 2.
Snickers.
Isn't that crazy? Peanut butter cups are number 2.
Yeah.
Snickers are not
Delicious.
on it. Number 3 is All right, we're gonna go with this song now. Okay. Number 3, cookies, chocolate chip cookies.
Just cookies.
Sorry, chocolate chip
We're
cookies.
going more general.
Like apparently
Yeah, that's
those
just-
are, like peanut butter cups is number 2. So like this is specifically talking about like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
Nestle or like Toll House.
Yeah.
Or sorry,
Potato
are those the
chips.
same thing? Nestle or like Pillsbury. Potato chips are number 10.
10.
Yeah.
Dude.
So it's
Andrew,
chocolate
have
chip
you ever
cookies.
seen Steven eat chocolate chip cookies? He'll
You eat,
make
like-
a tray of those like little, what are they, Nestle ones?
Nestle's the best in my opinion. The
The-
yellow one.
The like small ones. And
No,
he'll-
no, no, just chocolate chip cookies.
Oh,
He will eat them like chips.
I will. I
It's
like
like-
legitimately I could down 10 to 15 chocolate chip cookies with these.
I can too.
It's like those are like I genuinely think like whatever the yellow in. I think it's Nestle. Nestle
Yeah.
chocolate chip cookies, like the little squares.
Full House. Wait, that's
Literally the like honestly, death row meal. I might just get a freaking hot plate of those.
I thought the same thing. Just a dozen donuts for Krispy Kreme. I might eat that.
Yeah,
'cause
that'd
your
be
health
tasty.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter at that
I'd
point.
rather go out
Sure
with a
taste.
headache.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you have a headache.
Yeah, you're gonna die. So
You ever think about how gluttony is just like
overlooked.
completely?
Yeah.
I never really thought about that till the
Yeah,
other day.
people are
when
like,
my
at least I
buddy brought
don't
it up.
drink, and then gorge themselves.
Yeah.
Or like, tough day, and they'll just eat a bunch of ice cream, but then they're like, oh, I'm on time, though. It's like, all right, well,
Mm.
cheat days? Oh, why is that a thing? I don't know. All right, number 1, Sour Patch Kids.
Wow.
Most
Forgot
addictive
about
snacks.
those.
I could have gotten there, I think.
I don't really like Sour Patch Kids, so I don't get it, but yeah, that's what this
My
is.
candies of choice are like Nerds Clusters and Sour Patch Kids, probably.
Cracker Jacks are number 5, speaking of baseball.
Why is
I
this
don't
list
know
made?
if I've ever had a
40s?
Cracker Jack.
Oh, Cracker Jacks are freaking good. No, it's new. Nacho Cheese Doritos, number 6. I feel like y'all could have guessed that one.
Ranch
Yeah.
is better.
Cheese Puffs, number 7.
Oh,
I also
yeah.
think y'all could
I
have
can't
guessed.
stop eating those.
Yeah, once you eat your first, it's hard to stop with cheese puffs. Number 8, popcorn, like movie popcorn.
Yeah.
Again, that stuff is freaking. And number 9 is just chocolate in
Makes
general.
sense.
I feel like
I
that's
crave
kind
it.
of
Is it Mr. Beast chocolate?
Beast. What are they called?
Feastables. Feastables. No.
No.
No, it's feet. It's
oh,
Beast
top
bars
10
or something.
banned
Yeah.
snacks. Here's a fun wait, Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
M&Ms?
Those are not banned. Kinder Eggs again, not banned.
Not
you can get
banned.
that.
Banned it.
Number 8,
Oh,
chocolate
oh.
milk. What does this mean?
Banned meaning like not allowed, not like you're playing music in a band. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking of band like you're playing music in a band. I was like backstage. You want M&Ms before the
I
show?
sort of thought that, but then I
Oh,
was
it has
like,
been unceremoniously banned in various locations.
nothing's banned in the U.S. They'll
I
let
was
us
gonna
eat
say.
anything.
Yeah. So maybe this is like other countries or something.
In Italy, tons of stuff is banned.
Yeah.
French fries, number 7. They didn't have. I might be wrong with this. I don't think that French fries when I went to Israel at McDonald's. They had a ton of McDonald's.
Yeah.
They showed.
It
That
It's
is
a
one of the
different
most
standard.
one of the most fun things to do when you travel abroad is to go to the store and buy funny looking snacks. Just try them. Little mukbang.
soda, pizza. That's not true. And popcorn.
Yeah,
That's-
pizza's banned.
Yeah, this is
Not in
stupid.
this
I like,
Republic.
I
This
like
is,
top 5 questions like that.
This is Listverse. Great website. I think we should have a segment called Lists.
Yeah.
I have a
Listing
list
up.
for you.
What?
Well, a top 2 list.
Okay, come on.
Can you name the top 2 land-owning entities on planet Earth?
What? Can you give me an example of a landowning entity?
Alabama Power.
So, sure, that would be a group that owns land.
So it's not like the United States of America.
So the United States government, actually, the federal government doesn't own that much land. Probably
Yeah.
28.
I actually do know this. China.
No, what in China?
Like the Chinese
People's
government
Republic of
owns
the
a ton of
China.
land.
It's
People's
actually
Republic.
not in the top 2. It's probably up there.
Wow. Can I ask? Is one of them a country?
Neither of them are a country.
Okay, he paused. That makes me wonder.
One of them is not really a government, but a very powerful ruling.
I was gonna say, what's the
The Public Interest Fund.
Russian dude?
Nope,
It's not the PIF. They must just not own land.
not a government.
What is the ruler of Russia's name?
Putin?
Putin.
It's not him.
Really?
Russia's huge.
Oh,
but it's-
Warren
there's so
Buffett.
much
Is
privately
that what you're
owned
talking about?
land. Nope.
No.
Is it a figure like that, or is it an organization?
One of the number one is their figures.
The Rothschilds.
Saudis.
Nope, but you're getting a little warmer.
Vanderbilts.
No,
Rockefellers.
no,
dang.
you're on the right track, but you're going.
Who am I missing? Rothschilds.
more powerful.
Kennedys. No. Who else is more powerful than?
Like they were almost.
Wait.
They
Dang.
were a ruling family.
Oh, the royal family.
The British royal family is the number one owner of land of any
Interesting.
entity in the world, with almost 1/6 of the habitable land.
Wow.
Because of the British Empire,
Yeah.
colonized like everything, and there's a lot of land that technically the British royal family owns.
Wow.
And number 2 is the Catholic Church.
Oh,
Wow.
frick. I should have known that.
Because every single Catholic church, Catholic school,
They own the land.
they own it. The Vatican owns
Dang.
the building and the land.
Wow.
Same with the Church of Christ
So
and the Methodist Church.
The Catholic Church is the number one owner of real estate
Wow.
in the world.
Huh.
It's crazy.
Hey, gift that
More
keeps
you
on
know.
giving. Wonder where the Catholic Church gets all their money from. Like, where do
I've
they?
been to the Vatican, and it is unbelievable. No one really knows how much money they have. But
Yeah, they're like
it's
one of the richest organizations.
tiny little
But I feel
country.
like I don't know. There she is. Hey, Gracie. Gracie's home from work. My wife. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of the secret segment, and that means it's the end of our podcast.
Yep.
So this podcast is over now.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody.
It's all ogre now.
It's all over now.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to the secret segment. This is the end of the podcast.